Hello, everybody. Today we have Share here with us. I first learned about Share on our Instagram. She's an influencer. She travels. She also has her own shop where she sells dental merch. And also, she's a private practice owner in California. Hi, Share. How are you?
Hi, good. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. I know today you were in private practice, but not in your main office, right?
Well, today I was actually at a group home. So I was at a convalescent home actually this morning.
Oh,
Yeah. So
great.
I was practicing mobile hygiene this morning.
Nice. So whenever you're doing mobile hygiene, do you typically see like multiple patients during that one trip, or is it like you get booked to go out for each individual patient?
Yeah, so it's really case by case. So this actually particular convalescent home, they did book me for all five patients. So I did know ahead of time that I was going to see five people today. But sometimes I'm going to just see one or two patients. It really just depends. Hmm.
Gotcha, gotcha. And you know something that comes up a lot during our podcasts is always talking about workload. Lots of dental hygienists are kind of unhappy with the amount of time that they're given, or also they kind of feel like they're forced to work um, in a more condensed version and see lots of patients in a single day. Are you
Yeah.
finding working independently is enabling you to basically see less people but spend as much time as you wish on them?
Absolutely, because obviously, as a independent hygienist, you have autonomy over your schedule, and so you're able to book out as much time as you would need, and you think that the patient deserves. Also, obviously, I'm a business owner, so I do have to calculate my financials and take that into consideration when obviously, I'm not seeing as many patients, and I'm not getting paid per hour, and so I have come up with. A pay scale per patient, what how many patients I should see and make per day so that it would make sense, right? So yeah, you want to work smarter, not harder. I live by that saying. So definitely I'm seeing a lot less and making the same to more sometimes.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think definitely in my case, because I'm also a hygienist and I'm currently working as a independent contractor, but I do still work in dental offices, like
That's
traditional.
wonderful.
Yeah. And I still do feel like I could have a more variety in the times in my schedule, whereas like generally, especially if you're a contractor, you have to follow a pretty standard kind of time schedule. So I
Yes.
do run late for one and then finish early for one, and it's a little bit imperfect. So I do often daydream about having my own practice where I can just set my own schedule and choose just how long I want to work on each patient depending on
Yes,
their
yes.
needs. It
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
I I feel like the receptionist at my at the dental office that I work at is a little bit too good at keeping the schedule full, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. And I think that it does take a collaborative effort to really explaining to them, but they really have to be on board too. They have to respect you as a clinician so they can understand when you're telling them, hey, like, I actually need a little bit more time for patients like this or that, and they have to really like take that in because they're not going to cram the dentist, and maybe they will cram the dentist, right? But sometimes if the dentist is like, hey, you know what? I told you I need an hour and a half or three crown preps or whatever. They're like, oh, okay, right? So you're like, I'm doing SRPs or this is a complicated patient. If they would take the time and appreciate what you're telling them, then they would start scheduling accordingly, right? So definitely speaking up and educating the front office about the time and procedures could help.
I feel like it would
Hmm.
be really good to share some insight about how you've been able to make it work. So starting with kind of what is the startup cost? What is the minimum equipment needed for the physical location, let's say.
Right, right. So I'm not gonna lie. You're looking at like 5 to 6 years in the making, right? So obviously, really starting with one being a hygienist. I've been a hygienist for 10 years, and I work corporate dentistry. And what I took from corporate dentistry is business. All my time there, I learned about the numbers. I learned about my worth and my value. I started staring at my numbers, and I was like, oh, this is what I'm making in the office. Can I make this for myself? Is this something livable, right? They always make you feel like, well, oh, you do this, you do that, and you need us here, right? Well, in a lot of states where hygienists can only work in an office, but it is still important for them to know their worth, their value, right? So once you start knowing your numbers, and if you have the opportunity like yourself to move out and be independent, you can see how valuable you are. And so you're like, I can make this work. This brings in a certain amount of money, right? So after understanding my value, right, and understanding how much potentially I could make independently, I took a leap. You have to have a great credit score in order to rent a facility, right? So when I went to find my location, I needed to have great credit. I had to have show bank statements. So you do have to be at a good standing in order to even get approved for a business building to rent one. I own another business. It's separate from hygiene. I own a teeth whitening lounge, but I have somebody else running it, and so it's a separate entity. Here in the state of California, I advanced my license and I became mobile. So, and I still obviously I offer those services, and that startup alone was anywhere from 5 to 10,000, right, for all the equipment. And then when I realized that I could own my own location as a hygienist, you have to work in a underdeserved area, and that took me about a year and a half to call and confirm other offices if they were actually Medi-Cal providers or were low affordable rate offices. And it took me about a year and a half to come with a consensus and present that to the dental board, to prove to them that the area that I'm working in did need um, they did need an affordable dental hygienist. So after my area was approved, I would say I've spent maybe a total of another like 30 to 40K in compliance and instruments and equipment and licensing to make sure that my office is up to par and following state guidelines. So, yeah, the first few years, it's going to feel like you're spending more than you're making. But that's just a chance you have to take if this is what you want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, so altogether it was somewhere around 70K starting
Give
startup.
or take, like with the span of 5 years, definitely, because the building that I got, it needed new paint, it needed flooring, needed new light fixtures. I needed to replace a sink in the bathroom, so there was a lot that I had to do. And then for my city business license, the fire department had to come in. They needed to check for like the disability walking, for access in case there was an emergency or fire hazard. So there was a lot of extra like fees that add up. So definitely, I would say it was quite an investment.
Did you also did you mostly fund it through loan or did you save up for it?
So I did not get a loan, no, but that is an option that I can actually help hygienists. My mom is an accountant; she's a CPA, and she does do business plans. And so she's actually made me take her courses and everything so I could learn. But as a homeowner, I bought my house in 2011, and I just had tons of equity in it. So I was able to take out some equity also to put aside for things. So no, I did not get a business loan. I continue to work private practice, right? We got to be smart. We're not going to just leave our job. Like, we still have to work, bring in an income, but I knew I had an ultimate goal. So as I was building and paying for my new expenses, I would continue to work as a hygienist, and I would use a portion of the my income towards building my business. So, but I do feel that you could, and you can get a good rate, and if you don't have all the funds up front, I think that is a good option for people. And I think, yeah, they could do it. They could get a business loan.
Have you tried temping as a way to supplement income or
Yes, yes, I do. I do temp, and I love to temp. I love temping. Yes.
nice?
The future, right? It's the future. I know a lot of dental offices do like having a consistent one hygienist there, but that's not always the case, and it's not always possible. So being able to fill that void for them, and also being able to pick the days that I am available works well for me, because I am running a business. And so if I do have any down days, I open them up, and there you go. I fill my days. So I
Exactly.
love temping, and temping has really opened the door to hygienists, and given them some of the power back, right? Because they feel like, you're not telling me when I'm coming in, I'm telling you. Not only that, I'm setting my rate and you're accepting it, whatever the case may be. It is a great option, and you get the opportunity to like go to some great offices and meet cool people, and you just stay up to date with the latest technology. So I love it.
The way Tempid works is it's based on a negotiation system. So you're not on a big pool, you're directly talking to the office in a private room. And basically, depending on the opportunity, depending on how much you need money, depending on how much you have to travel, depending on all sorts of different factors that are individual to you, you get to tailor your hourly wage request. So you get back to the office with your rate, and you can go back and forth with them and negotiate a little bit before, settling on an hourly wage.
I mean, sometimes I guess that could happen, but like, you made a great point. It's Saturday, it's urgent. Saturdays are usually family days. So the fact that if you pay me more, then I will go. Yes, I think the flexibility to be able to tailor to custom certain days, I think that's a win. I think that's great, and I think the users will like that. Yes.
Which one is more profitable, would you say? Was it the mobile clinic or the kind of stationary place you have?
I think they're both very lucrative. They're both the same. Some weeks I might be mobile more, or some weeks like people are just coming in, right? That's how dentistry is. Sometimes it's really busy, and sometimes it's not at all. So they are both equally the same, because somebody's coming in, they want to come in, or hey, I have a parent that's in a home, can you come see my parent? And I just work out my schedule to be able to do that.
Gotcha. So would you say that the mobile portion of your practice is kind of supplementary to the kind of stable practice?
I wouldn't say it's supplementary, it's more like an adjunctive, right?
Mhm.
So it's like on the side, it's not below it. It's as an RDHAP here in Southern California, it's really why the degree was created, was to help others that can't make it into a traditional setting. So as convenient as it is for me to just be at my location all day, right? This is like the heart of the license, is to get to those who can't make it in. And so by having, the ability to have a license like this, I would honor it by continuing to offer it to the services to those who need it the most, the people who cannot make it in. So definitely, even if I was like uber busy at my office and had lots of clients, I would never stop going to see the patients that need me the most.
That's such a great point. I think it's definitely something that I had lost sight of when I was thinking about private dental hygiene practices, but you're absolutely right. Our profession has a community outreach aspect to it. It has had it from the get-go, and
Yeah,
we are really filling in a gap in the
exactly.
healthcare. Yeah. So it's so important to like keep that in mind and keep in mind the fact that the same patients that were supporting us in the early days, like we should still try to accommodate for them, um,
Hmm.
even if our stable practice is busy and running, maybe just a couple of days.
100%. And that's just going to be like a personal preference, for you, the person. But obviously, for me to keep my license, that is a service that I need to continue to provide. I guess, since I am in a designated area, I don't necessarily need to, but it brings me so much joy. Like a quick story, one of the patients I see, he used to come see me at my office. He was in a bad car accident and he got brain injury. And I still see him, right? So now I have to see him in a different setting, but he's still my patient. His mom really wants, cares about his oral hygiene. Like, he's still human. He still deserves to, feel clean and healthy. So I am just honored to have a license where I can still provide that service.
Totally, yeah. I think that's such a beautiful story. And I'm so glad that they stayed in contact with you and they're continuing to seek your help. I used to work in um retirement homes, and I also used to work in mental health like homes, like homes for people with like schizophrenia and things like that, that they need to be under supervision.
Hmm.
And definitely one big thing that stood out to me when I was working in retirement homes was the fact that the residents often do not get regular um like personal self-care help at their
Hmm.
residence. So
Exactly.
have you ever kind of were in a position where you had to go beyond just your 1 hour appointment with the client and educate the caretakers of the client?
Always. Yes, yes, always. It's so important that, I have a patient, he had a seizure, and so he really does not have the dexterity to brush them. And yes, I do spend as much time as possible to get my point across in such a way that is helpful and informative. But, letting them know, hey, you need to brush his teeth, right? So, what the
Yeah.
hell? Like, did you brush your teeth? So, I spend a lot of time, and maybe I spend too much time, but you know what? It is what it is. Like, this is what I'm passionate about, so you know, I have to go all in.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, definitely this is a big problem. Interestingly, we have another podcast guest that's coming on next week, actually on Wednesday, and he did his master's thesis specifically on why care aides do not brush residents' teeth.
Oh my God, I'd love to
And
speak to him about that. Love
yeah.
to.
So just to give you one finding of the study, it's so interesting. His name is Professor Domi, and one finding that was significant was the smell of periodontitis was
Oh,
reportedly very disgusting to care aides, and on the
okay.
scale of like how disgusting they found it, they actually ranked the smell of periodontitis worse than feces.
Wow.
Yeah,
Because actually, this
exactly. Yeah.
morning someone had a bowel movement, and so I had to wait. And I was like, whoa, what is that? Like, I was like, what is that in the air? And they're just walking around like nothing. So possibly we just become susceptible to it. And maybe we help the aides with helping them with peril, like wearing a mask and maybe putting essential oils in the mask. But yeah, it's foreign. It's bad, and if you're not used to it, then yeah, it could probably shock you. Hmm.
Yeah, funny enough, I think let me tell you a funny thing, because I actually have a really good sense of smell. Like when it comes to cooking and things like that, I'm very passionate about cooking, and I consider myself to have a really good sense of smell and taste. But funny enough, I do not. mind the smell of perio at all.
Okay,
And
so
so I think part of the reason why this is like this might be because we're just like genetically, some of us might be more um adapt to certain smells than others. And
potentially.
yeah, and one interesting thing about me is I come from a very long line of people that worked in dental. So like if you go far back, they would be like denturists and they were dentists. And I'm obviously a hygienist. So I always like very often I think to myself, it's funny that when you go to choose your profession, there's more things at play than just like the upside of the career, right? You're taking into account things like how disgusting it is too. And I just never found saliva disgusting. I never found blood disgusting. I never found the smell of perio or smell of like most people's mouths disgusting. And
Right.
sometimes people even come to me and like they're my patients. They're like, "Hey, sorry, I had coffee this morning," and I'm always like, "But
Okay.
that's like a good smell. I don't even know why I'm
Yeah,
mentioning that."
yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah,
even like garlic. I'm like, I
definitely.
like the smell of garlic. I don't know. It doesn't disgust me.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That is interesting, and I wonder if there could be a study done about that. Certain people, you know what? When I was an assistant actually before I was a hygienist, I was an assistant for 6 years, and I don't know what gets you into the field, right? Different certain things. Me, it was just actually when I had got braces on, I was just so fascinated by my teeth just moving and getting straighter. But I ended up being an assistant. I really wanted to go further and do more. Anyways, I did the assisting, and as an assistant, I was not phased by the saliva or blood or anything or learning about it. I was like, oh, okay, okay, okay. Like you hear about it, and it didn't really bother me whatsoever. I was like, oh, and then I started working and seeing the periodontist and the oral surgery and endo. And just during those procedures, I did not feel any type of way whatsoever, So
Yeah.
definitely there might be a personality type or something, maybe internally, right? Where maybe
Yeah.
somebody sees a tooth come out and they're like, oh my God, no, 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 right? So
Yeah.
definitely
For sure.
never phased me neither.
Yeah, it's funny because like there's definitely some patients or clients that are so afraid of dentistry. Like when you think about it, like that person would never become a dentist or hygienist or nothing, right? Like they're so like afraid to even be
Right.
there. I sometimes see patients and they tell me they were not able to sleep the night before because they were just so anxious.
I know. Yeah, I try to put my feet, like, I try to think about what they're going through, and I don't understand it. But yeah, it's a real fear.
Yeah, I feel really bad. And I've literally had patients where I've had to rush through because I'm worried this person's gonna get a heart attack. Like, um, there's dental anxiety, but I have one patient. She comes in every 2 years because she's so afraid, but she actually has a phobia. And that is a full-fledged phobia because she comes in like, okay, good, do it, do it, do it, do it. And
Yeah.
like, I feel so bad for her because I know she's trying her best, but I typically dismiss her honestly under 20 minutes. And don't ask
You
me.
almost have to. You don't want to torture her any more than you have to, or they might not come back at all.
I mean, she's already not coming back. Um, she's barely coming, but every once in a while, she really, really has to, like, feels like she has to. So we just do kind of gross debridement. We just get as much as we
Oh yeah.
can, crank it up, and get as much as we can. Even honestly, avoiding like more sensitive areas, just so that she gets at least some of the cleaning done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I know that, this is not great clinical care, but she does have the option for sedation if she wants to, but she doesn't want to. So this is the only
Hmm.
care that she can muster up the courage for. Poor
Yeah.
woman. I
Yeah.
feel bad. Yeah. But that's
It could
crazy.
be the whole process. It could be like just from waiting in the waiting room or signing in or It could just be the whole buildup. I do think that I do see a lot of patients that are afraid to go to the dentist. They do come and see me. I do think that's another thing that is helpful to be independent hygienists or work independently out of a dental office, is because you can set your own atmosphere. And obviously, I'm able to choose my own colors and my own schemes. And I really, sometimes I have the diffuser on, with essential oils. I just want the experience to be obviously non-traditional, and I do think it helps a lot. And
Exactly. So, what does a private practice, like private dental hygiene practice, typically look like? Is there a waiting room, designated waiting room, or is it all just kind of in one room type of thing?
it depends on how big of a place that you rented, right? So I have a whole place. I have a waiting room, checkout area. Then there's a separate business, and then there's a back room, and then obviously sanitation, my instruments, separate area. So I have it's a full office.
So, strategically, let's say that you were to kind of do things for the first time again, but with your current knowledge base, right? Would you
Yeah.
go for like a smaller space and try to minimize the startup costs as much as possible and instead invest more on the marketing and patient acquisition? Or would you actually try to um, first set up a beautiful office that is going to be competitive in the sense that it actually attracts clients once they do come in and it adds to their experience while they're there?
It's always good to start small. You have to walk before you can run. I've been in business for 5 years. This will be my sixth year. So, yes, I've upgraded things so that I could have that competitive edge. And, I've invested in my waiting room, in a nice lounge area. But I did start small. You just slowly bought my equipment.
How about staff? Do you think that it is something that you can manage as a single person, or would you say if you were to do it again, you would hire some sort of assistant to help you with the billing and the insurance,
I,
or is that not
I'm
the point?
I'm barely at the point now, 5 years, almost 6 years now later, where I'm finally like, okay, I need some help. I'm getting busy enough that I do need some help. And you know, mostly I can handle everything myself, but I would love to have two associate APs that like different schedules. Because I'm more of a late bird. I'll stay late. I'll stay till 7. If someone wants to come in late, I'll come in late. But for these early birds that want to come in early, it would be nice to have an associate who wants to come early. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm at now.
What a great idea. I think definitely over hiring like a assistant to kind of help you work more, hiring on another hygienist or like partnering up with another hygienist and um reducing your workload through that
Yes.
way is a much more intelligent way to go about this. And also, it saves your back, saves your health, and it also is a more rewarding way for you because you've already gone through so much trouble setting this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're forced to work the same way you were forced to work in a corporate office, what is even the point, right? If you're working nine to
Exactly.
five every single day,
And
you
I'm
can't.
not. I'm not. I usually work 11 to 3.
That's really good. Yeah. That's a sweet
Hmm.
spot actually, because you have
I'm
the
done.
whole
When I'm done, I'm
morning.
done. I
Yeah,
have the morning to go on my walk and to kind of, obviously get my kids to school and just kind of get myself like situated, and then I get down to the office and then I'm there till 3. But I will come back. Like if someone was like, "Hey, I just got out of work. It's 5:36." Like I'll go back. I'll go back. I don't mind. It's my prerogative. I was able to run my errands and I'll go back to clean some teeth because the money that I'm getting is going directly to me. So I'll work. Mhm.
yeah. And so just because our audience is spread out and I'm not sure about the California wages exactly, I would guess that one patient, no, let's just say one and a half patients a day as a private As a primary clinician, production would equal to a full day of wage as a
No, I'm
hygienist?
in Southern California, and I obviously my goal to be in business to offer affordable hygiene services. So
Mhm.
I usually charge depending on the kind of cleaning they need. It could be $95 to 125, for basic to perio maintenance, and then obviously to grow scale and up could be 250 to 350. So really depending. So I obviously still have to put work in. I have to see it, at least 2 to 3 patients. Like today, example, I charged 155 per patient. And I saw 5 patients. So, you know what I mean? I made more than what I would make in an 8-hour schedule day, right? I don't
What's
know
the
if you have a calculator on you, but I think it's like five something that I did. I'm not sure. But anyway, I made more than what I would make working 8 hours in an office.
what's the average hourly wage for hygienists in Southern California?
Southern, it could be anywhere from 45, really right now 50, really, 50 to $60 an hour.
Yeah. Okay, so very similar to the Vancouver market. Uh
Okay.
Obviously Canadian dollars, not US, but still very similar. The thing with the Canadian market is I think our billing is higher. So we also have an added bill for mobile services. So if you go to the client, you charge like a fee, and if you see like let's say 5 people, you charge all of them that fee.
I
That's
could
added.
have, I could have, I could charge more, really. Luckily this place was only 20 minutes from my house, and I could have charged them a driving fee because I still had to drive there. I still had to buy gas. I still all my own supplies, but I felt confident. I felt good about what I was doing because that owner has now referred me to other houses, and he appreciates the that he could afford the 155 per patient. And I think that's why I've been blessed, because I get tons of referrals, like people calling me all the time, and it's because I'm just genuinely, I'm just trying to get you in a good position. I could do better. I could charge more, or, just depending. I have to focus, right? Because when you're a worker, you're in that mindset, like, I want to help, I want to help. But when you are a business owner, you do have to think about your overhead, right? So I could be, thinking about profits a little bit more at times, but then I wouldn't be me. So I'm just me. My mom is an accountant again, so I do sit and talk with her, and I'm still in a good space, so I can offer these services to people, and they appreciate it. It's a win-win.
Exactly. So, Shade, I definitely think it's so great that you're offering this service at an affordable cost because again, you're bridging that gap of care, but just so, we have a more general idea, how does your billing work in the US? Is it per patient, or is it based on what you're exactly offering, or is it based on time? Because I'll tell you how it works in Canada. We have a unit system where
Mm,
every 15 minutes you bill a certain amount. So you could be giving discounts on top of the set um, fee guide that's kind of provided to us.
yeah.
But generally speaking, like the fee guide is designed to create a fair environment where no one's kind of like undercutting the market.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me, is it kind of like you
No, no, the states, anything goes. You know what I mean? That's great. And I see that too in other countries, right? Kind of to keep things at a good, even rate. This is the America where it's like the land of the free. Every things could be like super, super expensive or really cheap to undercut. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is there any standards here? There's none. There's no
really?
standards here. There's none. You make your own, and I've come up with my fees based on my lifestyle, what I've seen in dental offices, and obviously I try to come under a dental office because this is the main reason they can't afford things, or they're in a good position. So I've basically like have taken offices that I've gotten their fee schedules, and then I try to set my rates a little bit lower, not too much lower, right? I'm still need to pay myself, but just enough lower where it's affordable, right? I at least try to make myself 450 and 450 plus a day, because that's what I want, right? So I have to, do that math. But yeah, no, there's no set rates here. No, it's just all over the place.
Are you doing anything else to be more competitive than close by dental offices?
So we're like on the streets. We're like bringing the people in. We
Mhm.
are the bridge.
Yeah,
So no competition. I'm just an alternative. And if anything, I'm bringing more patients in that would have never even gone to the dentist. After I do the cleaning, I have two doctors that I work with in particular, and I refer them for all the restorative care.
I can totally see that a big part of why patients would actually come to see you specifically would be because they just like you.
The only thing that makes you different is you, right? Because dentistry, you can know it, he knows it, we all know it. But what only thing that makes you different is you, your own personality, what you're bringing to the table.
You don't have to actively compete, more so
Never.
you're just networking.
Really, you have to put the footwork in, right? So to this day, I go to community centers, I go to senior centers, I go to schools, I drop off my flyers everywhere. So I really make myself present in my community. I go to community outreach, I go to community events like health fairs. That's how people come in. Or they'll keep my card, and if something comes up, or I get a lot of like referrals, like, hey, you got to see this hygienist. You got to see this hygienist.
Are you finding your social media efforts are converting high for um, patients?
Google has been the best as in terms of converting. Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Yes.
This has been so informative for our users. Honestly, having someone with your specific knowledge base has been one of the most requested guests. So I think we answered a lot of questions ranging from how to market yourself, how to operate, how to set up a practice with minimal costs, and how to slowly build on your practice, as well as benefits of having your own private practice and changes that you can make while you have autonomy of your schedule. So, thank you so much. This has been really inspiring. I love what you're doing with your clinic. I love what you're doing with your social media, and I love what you're doing with your
Thank
online
you.
store.
Good. That's my ultimate goal, is to inspire others and like, get a light in them to know, let them know that there's more to hygiene, and just to get the license in clean teeth, you could do so much with it. And that's really my ultimate goal. And for anybody that listened in and hears this, I want them to know I'm an open book, and they can email me, text me, DM me anytime, and I'd be more than happy to answer any further questions that they have that wasn't covered. And you can reach me anytime. I just figured I'd let you know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to say the website name for the merchandise?
Yeah, so if you're interested in looking at my merch, you can find some of cute, nostalgic dental themed items at allthingstoothy.com. Also, we can make custom things for you. So if you want to make a custom order, or you want to do a bulk order like gifts for, a whole office or something, I do that as well. So yeah, All Things Toothy, you can check out my stuff.